Hello, everyone, and welcome into the special first edition of the From the Heights podcast. My name is Kevin Turry. I'm the video production and creative content coordinator here at Moyne College. We are so excited to be bringing you this special inside look into the Moyne College Athletic Department, and I'm very lucky and honored to be joined by the Director of Athletics here at Moyne, Bob Beretta. Bob, thanks so much for joining me, and I'm really looking forward to getting this thing going with you.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, Kevin, and thanks for taking the time to sit down and talk a little bit about Moyne athletics.
Yeah, absolutely. And so on that note, to begin, we just wanted to talk a little bit about why we're doing this, why we wanted to get in front of this camera and speak to you. So on that note, what is your opinion on why you wanted to do this, and can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, surely, Kevin. I think it's important for us to remain engaged with our fan base and with our constituent groups, and especially now this year, it's such an important year with the transition to Division I. We have so many questions, and no matter where we go, whether it's on campus, off campus, speaking engagement, just around town, people want to know about Moyne and Moyne athletics and Division I and the transition, and there's so many questions around it in people's minds for the betterment of the college, and I think this is a great opportunity for us to ask our stakeholders to write in questions and send them to Kevin's email, and we have that listed on the release where we announce this From the Heights podcast. And also an opportunity for us to talk directly to our fans, not only the questions that they're asking, but other updates and questions that we feel might be on their mind. So yeah, really important, I thought, to be able to go forth, engage with our clients and with our customers, with our fans, our guests that come to Ted Grant Field and Ted Grant Court and all of our facilities, and just a really exciting time around Moyne these days.
Absolutely, and to that note, I wanted to first discuss a little bit about kind of the general things that are going on here on campus. You know, when you walk around the facility and the athletic facilities in general, you can already kind of see some of the changes from Division II to Division I just from the summer. So just can you give us an insight into kind of the workings that have gone on over here over the summer?
Yeah, it's been busy. It's been a very busy time, and we have now added a concession restroom facility here at Ted Grant Field, and I thought that was really important. It enhances not only the student-athlete experience, but our guests that visit Moyne. And I think it's really important to take care of the people that support us, and I think our facilities prior to that in those spaces were less than meeting our standard, did not meet our standard. So now we're going to have a first quality, high quality restroom facility and concessions, and when people come to events when it can tend to get cold here in early lacrosse season, they'll be able to go grab a hot coffee or a hot chocolate or a snack and not miss any of the action. So that was really important to us. We have 3 other facility enhancement projects right now that we're undergoing. We worked early in the spring on relocating our baskets in Ted Grant Court. I know that's probably not obvious to many people, but it was something that we needed to do so we had backups in place in case something happens with our stanchions. We have new baseball dugouts that are coming here to Dick Rockwell Field, and they'll be installed late September, we're hearing. The site work will begin there shortly, and there'll be new dugouts, and it's all part of that baseball renovation project now. That'll be really the second phase. The first was our scoreboard that we added 2 years ago, the dugouts, the second phase, and then hopefully we'll be able to finish that project off next year with a dugout-to-dugout renovation. That's what we're hoping for, if we can fundraise to the extent that we need to get that completed. But the dugouts will be in place in time for the spring. They were a safety issue for us in terms of the size, and really the quality wasn't meeting our standard either. And then on the softball side, another enhancement. I love our softball complex. I think it's nestled in a great place, but we did not have a press box, and it's glaring, and we have our workers, their health and safety to be concerned about, but it also wasn't a Division II standard without a press box. So now we're elevating to Division I, and we want to make sure that we're going to provide a tremendous working environment for those so that they can better project the stories of our women's softball team and the contests out there. So we're really excited about the 3 enhancement projects. And then the 4th is we're undergoing a study right now. We'll have that report later in September on our athletic facility, the event and recreation center, and how we can expand, enhance that, build out, renovate locker rooms, team rooms, add new office space, and then also address the student side and the recreation side, building a new cardiovascular room and strength and conditioning room. So this is all part maybe of a 5-year plan that we're talking about, but it has to start somewhere, and it's starting right now with this design firm out of Ohio, Moody Nolan, going to deliver us what we feel like will be a really exciting enhancement project for the athletic department and for the college as a whole.
Absolutely, yeah. You can, like, as I said, you can already see all the events and actions being taken here on campus, and it truly is an exciting time and an honor to be a part of. To that note, there have been certain staff enhancements as well throughout the department, both in terms of communication staff and coaching staff. Why did you feel that it was necessary to continue to grow our athletic staff here?
Yeah, I think it's really important to invest in people, and since I arrived here on the Heights 3 years ago, it was an area of priority for us. We invested in people, and we added staff where we could, and now the campus has stepped up in a big way to help us build out our staff in areas that we had gaps. And if we want to provide the level of service that we feel is necessary, not just in the Division I transition, but really at Division II as we try to grow our offerings, we needed to grow our staff. And we've added 10 staff members, or we're in the process of adding 10 staff members this season. We have a 5-year build-out plan that shows how we're going to plan on phasing in new staff and new assistant coaches. We added full-time assistant coaches in men's and women's lacrosse this summer and men's and women's basketball. And then we really bulked up our communication staff. It allows us to do something like this and bringing some really talented people to our department in a full-time capacity, and you're one of them. And it allows us to just provide that content and that coverage. It allows us to storytell so much better now by having so many other people that can do the work. And then we added, right now we're still searching, but we added a position in the sports medicine area, head athletic trainer below Scott Peterson, and we hope to have that one filled here very soon. And we're also adding another assistant in the compliance area under Jen Fabian, who does a tremendous job in compliance, and our senior women's administrator, but she needs help, and especially in this transition. So there are 2 positions right now that we're currently in the midst of searches for. But again, I think it's really important that we grow our staff because we want to grow our service offerings not only to our student athletes but also to our fans.
Absolutely, and again, it's palpable when you're in the building. You can feel the energy, you can feel the excitement, just from the staff alone, in addition to all the events that are going on here at campus. Perhaps, obviously, we work in athletics. One of the biggest events that's going on right now is our fall sports season. We have our men's and women's soccer teams both competing, as well as our volleyball team competing. And just this weekend, our men's and women's cross-country teams will also start competing as well. So, based on what you've seen already, can you give me a sense of how we're feeling about the athletics teams and how they're faring so far at the Division I level?
Yeah, Kevin, I'm bullish on our level, our ability to compete at this level. I said that throughout our discussions the past 18 months when we were considering a transition to Division I. I just didn't think it was that big of a step forward because we were already at a high level in Division II, and there's not a great difference between the low levels of Division I and the high levels of Division II, and I have great faith and confidence in our coaching staff. I have great faith and confidence in our student athletes, in their ability to rise to the occasion, and they've already done that. We saw our women's soccer team register a historic victory over the weekend on the road at Niagara. Just a tremendous victory and a testament to their grit and determination. This is a team that lost with 15 seconds left in their previous outing, fell behind Niagara 2-0 on Sunday, and battled back and came up with a big road win. Our men's soccer team, I was so proud of our men's soccer team at Penn State. They competed extremely hard, extremely well, and that's a top 25 team in the nation, and we held our own. And I believe that as cross-country opens up this weekend with the Frank Dillon Memorial Invitational, I think we'll see our runners also elevate their games, and as they elevate their games, they reduce their times, right, in that sport. So I believe we'll see all of that. I'm excited about this weekend, our first Division I home competitions with cross-country, men's and women's opening up on Saturday, and then our first Division I soccer game hosted here at Lemoyne. Our women's soccer team will do that against URI, a quality opponent, on Sunday at 1 p.m. So really excited about that, and we have a special promotion that we'll announce it here. We haven't announced it yet, but we're going to have this throughout the season at all of the initial Division I inaugural home competitions. We're going to be providing some not championship, but I would say inaugural debut Division I t-shirts that we'll be tossing out to our fans. So you want to come out and get one of those because we had a limited run, and we're not going to hand them out to everybody that comes. So it'll be a promotion that we do throughout the season at the initial home game of each year to commemorate what truly is a historic time to be on the Heights.
And just to reiterate that for the people at home, Sunday, our women's soccer team will be playing here on Ted Grant Field against the University of Rhode Island. So make sure to come out and support your Finns. It is going to be an exciting match. Again, our women's team coming off their first victory at the Division I level. Touching on competition levels at Division I, we've already announced several big games. Obviously, men's soccer just opening up at Penn State. I was lucky enough to join our volleyball team down in the College of Charleston in South Carolina. Looking forward as well, we have some men's basketball games against Georgetown and Villanova, as well as our women's basketball team making a trip out to Colorado to play Colorado State. So the question for you here, how do you think we will be able to compete with Power 5 conferences and some of the other big names that we've already announced and perhaps some moving forward as well? And to that point, how does it also help our athletic department to be taking on these big challenges?
Yeah, I'll start with the latter part of your question first, Kevin. This is all part of a strategy, and we felt, as we discerned whether to make this transition or not, I was, again, very much in favor of the ability of Division I athletics to utilize it as a platform to elevate the entire institution's brand across all sectors of our campus. And I think we're seeing that right now in who we're playing. We've talked about this as well. Who you play really matters. So for us to be able to play in the non-conference space against schools like Penn State, Colorado State, Villanova, I mean, our first two basketball games are going to be nationally televised, and Lemoyne has never been, maybe not even regionally televised, and now we're going to be nationally televised. Even our national championship lacrosse wins, they were not nationally televised. But this is the power of Division I. This is the power of the brand. So I think it's going to expand our brand far beyond Central New York. It's going to take us in places that are very compelling to us in those regions of the country. We're going to be able to engage with our alums in a way that we couldn't, utilizing athletics as a platform to do that. And when we're on national TV, we're going to talk about the great things that happen here on campus with our Madden School of Business, how high, in such high esteem it's held nationally, our nursing school, the great things and the initiatives that are happening on campus. We're going to leverage athletics in a way that you can really gain tremendous value that we could not experience that at the Division II level. So I think it's a very strategic move. It's not just, hey, we're going to go out and play these games and hopefully we're going to win, and if we don't win, it was a good experience. And I think from a strategic standpoint, it's about growing our brand. It's about telling our story. And I think our athletes are going to rise to the occasion. I think you're going to see that they're going to be they won't be surprised by the performance. I think some might, but I believe that we will hold our own. I think we're going to compete ferociously. I spoke with the men's soccer team on the pitch at their training session on Saturday night at Penn State, and I asked them to do three things. I asked them to compete ferociously, enjoy the heck out of the moment, and then get after their opponent. And that's all we're asking. And if our teams do all those three things, we'll be pleased with the result, and we'll be proud to represent Moyne College.
I think it's such a great point, and again, to reaffirm, what you're saying here, I again was lucky enough to have the opportunity to travel with our volleyball team and then be there pitch side at Penn State as well, and you can see the energy of playing at places like this, playing in big arenas like the TD Arena, and playing on such a beautiful facility at Penn State. So it's definitely a challenge, but I agree that the brand and getting ourselves out there is so interesting. Even just down at College of Charleston, people were asking, where is Lemoyne? What's going on at Lemoyne? And oh, you guys just turned Division I. So to that point, do you feel there's an excitement in the area and then even nationally about us turning to Division I?
Yeah, I do, Kevin, and I think there's some anxiety from some when we were talking about transitioning to Division I. I didn't hold that anxiety. I spent my entire professional career at the Division I level, and I know that there's not great difference from the level of competition that we're going to face week in and week out in the NEC. Now, if we're going to play Power Fives day in and day out, that's a leap. But that's a leap for anyone in the low to mid majors. But we're going to play people like Lemoyne. We're going to play opponents that look and feel a lot like us. We're going to play schools from an academic standpoint that really match up well. We've been talking about the non-conference inventory at our disposal here in Central New York. It's so exciting to think about playing games against schools like Niagara, Canisius, Cornell, Colgate. We're going to play Dartmouth and Princeton and some other Ivies as well, but again, within that 3-hour radius, you also have, to the east, we have Siena, and we have Albany, and to the west we have UB, and again, Canisius Niagara, St. Bonaventure. Army is only 3.5 hours away. So all that is really exciting. And we talk about the student-athlete experience, and we want to provide a championship experience to our student-athletes, and that was really important to us as well. When we looked at scheduling games, we wanted to schedule these lifetime memories, right? I think our volleyball team will always remember that trip to Charleston, and that they lost 3 matches, but it was the experience. It's the first time I believe that the volleyball team has ever boarded a plane as a group to go and compete, and there's going to be a lot of firsts throughout the years. So in many of these non-conference contests that we schedule, they're going to be lifetime memories, and that's so important for us to provide that championship experience, whether it's our women's basketball team going out to Colorado State. We have some other games that we haven't announced yet, but when our fans learn about them, they're going to be lifetime experiences. But men's basketball, playing at Georgetown, first ever Division I game. Then 3 nights later going to Philly and playing Villanova. I know it's gotten our alums excited. I know people are paying attention, and I think even those that were maybe a little anxious about this transition back in the spring are less anxious now, because they're starting to feel the excitement around it and what it can do for the school and what it can do for our student athletes to go out there, and they feel really good about competing at this level. I think even those that were a little nervous, when they step on the court, when they step on the pitch, it's go time. And now they look around in their surroundings and they're thinking, this is pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know, when they stepped out there on Sunday in Happy Valley and looked around with Beaver Stadium in the shadows, and they held their own against a talented Penn State team, I think they left that day saying, we can do this,
Yeah.
and this is going to be a heck of a ride for us.
Yeah. Changing gears now a little bit, I wanted to talk about, we touched on it briefly a bit before, I want to talk a little bit more about kind of the strategic plan.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously this is year 1, we're only 2 months into the change to the Division I level, but looking kind of long-term down the line in terms of different projects we might have going on here on campus. Not sure how much you might be able to tell us at this moment, but you know, kind of the long-term strategic plan to continue to rise to that Division I level and, you know, compete even more with Power 5 conferences, other conferences, you know, across the country as well. Are you able to discuss some of the further plans that we might have here?
Yeah, absolutely, Kevin, and we're going to announce our strategic plan this week, and it's something that we needed to build to submit to the NCAA as part of our application process in June. So in order to be able to do that, our staff worked very diligently on this throughout the winter and into the spring in advance of a potential invitation, and we were able to engage coaches, staff members, student athletes, faculty members, members of the clergy, some other folks around campus to participate in this, and we're really pleased. You know, a couple things that were extremely important to us. We wanted to make sure that our strategic plan nested very nicely with the college's strategic plan, which was just released earlier this year, and it does. The other piece, we have to remember that our Lemoyne Way culture is our North Star. That's who we are. It talks about value set, it talks about how we compete, how we treat others. It's wide-ranging, but that's our North Star. That's who we are as a department, and that was front and center as we built our strategic plan. There are 7 strategic priorities in the strategic plan. There are 42 objectives and over 100 recommended actions, and we're going to be able to track that every step of the way. And it's a 5-year plan. It's going to cover the reclassification period. It begins in 2023 right now, and it's going to take us through 2028, and hopefully at the conclusion of that period we'll be full-fledged Division I members through the reclassification process. But we built this plan with those targets in mind, but really utilizing our college's strategic plan tomorrow together, and also our Lemoyne Way culture as our guidepost throughout.
Yeah, it's such great insight into the beginning of a long-term process here. Just to conclude here, I do have one final question for you. And again, we wanted to reiterate that we're reaching out to the Lemoyne community for submissions for questions. So if you're at home watching this and want to get involved in our conversation, please feel free to shoot me an email. My email address is on the Lemoyne website staff directory at lemoynedolphins.com. So please feel free to flood my inbox with your questions. We'd love to have them to be able to ask Bob here and again speak directly to you. So in conclusion, we have an event coming up. I know we touched on it before, the Finn's Frenzy, with our bathrooms here and concession stand being opened up here. how do you feel that the campus community is going to respond to having all these big Division I events here on our campus?
Yeah, well, first of all, I have to express my thanks and gratitude to President Lemura, and she's been the driving force behind this reclassification, and our senior leadership team. Joe Grasso, our VP for administration, CFO, he has been unbelievable. And the support that our leadership has provided our athletic department in year one is, I'm just so grateful to be able to work with such fine people. And they value athletics, and they see the value in investing in athletics, not just in facilities, but the other things, the additional staff members. And we were able to increase salaries and try and get them at the level that really are aligned with our colleagues now in the NEC. I believe there'll be great support. I think people are getting really excited because they can now look at names and they're tangible. They're opponents that, hey, maybe a family member attended that school, or they're familiar with the name brand through basketball or through football, even though we don't play football. And our first opponent's URI, and that's a quality opponent here. In terms of women's soccer, it's an Atlantic 10 foe. And one that has had great success across all sports over the years. I think our people will get really excited about it. We have our first Fins Frenzy of the year is on September 17th.
Yep.
We'll have a ribbon cutting ceremony for our facility, concessions and restroom facility. You're going to see great branding that's going on in our gym that hopefully by the middle of September that'll be complete, and branding out here as well. So just a lot of excitement. I think it'll be well received. I think that as we get farther and deeper into the academic year, I think people will become even more engaged. And I think they're starting to see the things that we talked about during the discernment process come to fruition, and those that might have been skeptics are becoming believers, whether it was who we were talking about that we could play, and maybe there were naysayers that said, well, you talk about playing schools like that, but they're never going to play Lemoyne. Well, look at our schedules, and they're playing Lemoyne. Or if it's about being successful, and I've talked about that, and I believe in it, and here we are, 3 matches into the women's soccer season with a quality victory, and a heartbreaking loss that could have very easily been a victory, or at the very least a draw earlier. So we're going to be competitive.
Yeah.
That's the competition level that we're going to face day in and day out. So Fins Frenzy, our first one, we started last year trying to do one each semester. We'll probably do multiple ones this year in certain seasons because men's and women's basketball won't play a doubleheader, so we'll do a Fins Frenzy for each of those in the winter. But we do have a soccer doubleheader, and we'll have that out here September 17th. So more to come on that, lots of promotions. Want to come out and support the soccer teams on September 17th, but we also want everyone to come out this Sunday and support our women's soccer team as they make history.
Yeah.
First Division I soccer game here at Ted Grant Field.
Yeah, and with that, that'll be the conclusion of our first episode of the From the Heights podcast. Again, can't stress it enough to reach out, join us in our conversation as we move forward. Once a month, maybe bi-weekly, we still have to work out a couple details on that based on your interaction. So please feel free to reach out and join our conversation. But until next time, fins up.
Fins up.